This is the moment that we've been waiting for in women's basketball. It's way bigger than that. This is the moment that we've been waiting for in women's sports.
This is the watershed moment women's sports has been desperate for. The WNBA is burning white hot, and the arenas are stuffed to the rafters. Viewership is shattering the ceiling, and a fresh legion of fanatics is locked in. Yet, beneath the sellouts and the viral loops, a war is simmering. And look, this isn't just about the Indiana Fever. The stakes are way higher than a single franchise or one rookie sensation. We're talking loyalty against envy, hard truths against media spin. It's the story of two women flipping the script for an entire league, Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark. First, you've got the battle-scarred veteran who endured 7 seasons of irrelevance and defeat. Then there's the rookie prodigy, who dragged the sport into the cultural stratosphere with logo bombs and billion-dollar charisma. United, they form the most lethal backcourt in the game and the media's ultimate nightmare. But this bond wasn't forged on the hardwood. Nope. It kicked off with a smirk, a hot mic, and an ESPN analyst who thought she could get cheeky on national television. She miscalculated. Big time. She turned and said, "Maybe I'll start with you, Kelsey, because Lord have mercy, your team and those fans. They are all up in everyone's business." That one sentence, that little smirk, it was the spark that threatened to burn the whole narrative down. During that broadcast, Chiney turned to Kelsey Mitchell with that mischievous grin, the kind that screams, "I'm about to start some drama." She dropped the line. The room erupted in laughter. The panel giggled. But Mitchell? She didn't even blink. She sat there like a statue, poised, icy, dead serious. When she finally spoke, she wasn't interested in playing along. She was there to drop facts. She basically said, "Look, being on a team with Caitlin, knowing the wave she's created for us, seeing where the game is now, I've witnessed it firsthand." She continued, "For me, the real shift in Indiana is just looking at the arena. Remembering where we started versus where we are now. No hesitation. No sugarcoating the reality." She voiced what everyone in that studio was too terrified to say out loud. And instantly, the vibe in the room changed. The analyst's smile vanished. You could practically hear producers choking on their coffee backstage because Mitchell refused to play their petty media game. She didn't show up for banter. She showed up to dismantle the false narrative. To the casuals, it was a soundbite. But to the Fever faithful, it was gospel. It was proof that this squad wasn't just a fad, they were battle-tested and loyal. Mitchell wasn't about to let anyone twist the history. But listen, this wasn't just about sticking up for a rookie teammate. It was about years of agony, losing, and being ignored. That is the true origin of this saga. She is a vet who has seen it all. They know what the dark days in Indiana looked like. She essentially said, "The big moment for me is realizing the shift, being part of this growth, because I remember exactly where this franchise was at rock bottom. Before the flashing lights, before the viral soundbites and standing room-only crowds, Kelsey Mitchell was in the trenches fighting a lonely war. 7 consecutive seasons. No playoff buzz, no blockbuster trades, no ESPN roundtables singing her praises. Just losses. Rows of empty seats and deafening silence. While other stars chased rings in major markets, Mitchell stayed true to a team that felt like home. Even when that home felt more like a graveyard, she remained the face of a rebuild that looked like it would never end. She was the one grinding in the dark while the world looked the other way. And to top it off, she lost her father right before the 2023 season. Mitchell didn't just survive that purgatory. She became the Fever, the pulse of a team nobody believed in until this very moment. And then, Caitlin Clark walked in. She didn't just arrive, she exploded onto the scene. Every arena she touched sold out. Merchandise vanished in hours. TV ratings smashed records that had stood since the Michael Jordan era. She was pulling up from 40 feet, throwing no-look dimes, and walking with an unapologetic swagger that rattled the old guard. The WNBA had never witnessed a force like this, and frankly, the league had no clue how to process her. A $28 million Nike deal before playing a single pro minute? League Pass subscriptions? Shattered. Fever road games were pulling bigger crowds than home teams could ever dream of. But instead of rolling out the red carpet, the establishment got weird. The old guard got defensive. Analysts flashed fake smiles through gritted teeth. Veterans mumbled about respect and paying your dues. Every time someone insisted, "It's not just about Caitlin," it sounded less like praise and more like a threat. But Mitchell? She saw right through the noise. She knew the score, and she spoke it plainly. She acknowledged that being on a team with Caitlin meant riding a wave that changed everything. She credited Clark for shifting the culture in Indiana, contrasting the packed arenas of today with the ghost towns of yesterday. It wasn't a diss to others. It was a demand to acknowledge the reality on the ground. Clark changed the game, and Mitchell had the guts to say it on national TV, knowing full well the haters were waiting. But what the critics failed to understand was that Mitchell and Clark weren't just colleagues. They were about to become a massive problem for the rest of the league. The media wanted a feud. They wanted Mitchell to resent the rookie. The industry was desperate for friction. Conflict moves units, so they tried to engineer a clash. Every article, talking head, and social post was just a trap waiting to be sprung. They pitched it as Clark against Reese, against the entire league, and especially against Mitchell. But Kelsey didn't take the bait. She saw right through it immediately. Instead of pushing the rookie away, she pulled her close, publicly praising her leadership and singing her praises while the cameras rolled. In that respect, it went both ways. Whenever the press hunted for a controversy after a tough loss, Caitlyn shut it down. If Kelsey had the hot hand, there was no jealousy, only hype. She publicly campaigned for Mitchell to grab Player of the Month honors. This wasn't a rivalry. It was a direct rejection of every network executive and opinion pundit banking on a split. And the outcome? Absolutely frightening. You double-team Caitlyn? Kelsey punishes you with 25 points on 60% shooting. If you swarm Mitchell, Caitlyn dissects the defense with precision passing. There is no blueprint to stop them. No power struggles here, just two assassins operating on the same frequency, ignoring the script written for them. The executives were trembling because the storylines they manufactured only fueled the fire in Indiana. Analytically, this pairing seemed doomed. You had a 28-year-old vet who endured 7 seasons of disappointment, and a 22-year-old newcomer carrying the heaviest expectations the sport has ever seen. Mitchell, a pure bucket getter who grinded in obscurity. Clark, a visionary playmaker with the entire country analyzing her every breath. Combine those elements, and you don't get friction, you get devastation. Kelsey carves up opponents with that lethal mid-range jumper, while Caitlyn manipulates the court like a grandmaster, seeing the future before it happens. They aren't just coexisting, they are amplifying each other's strengths. A simple handoff evolves into a perfect assist. A threat from deep range clears the paint for an easy layup. Merging Caitlyn's eyes with Kelsey's speed creates a terrifying scenario for opposing strategists. The wildest aspect is that they are still figuring it out. This connection was forged in weeks, not over multiple campaigns. Despite that, they are already outperforming partnerships that have had years to mature. Pundits predicted a crash. Instead, they got an explosion. Underpinning everything is Kelsey, stoic and ruthless, prepared to incinerate anyone who slights the franchise she constructed from the ground up. Now for the unspoken truth. There is a thick fog of envy surrounding them. It is written all over the expressions of retired legends, now working TV jobs, the strained grins, and the backhanded compliments. It goes beyond single remarks or shade masked as objectivity. They are desperate to safeguard their history and their grip on the story. For decades, this league pleaded for eyes, demanded validation, and prayed for an audience. Then Clark arrived and delivered exactly that, but she didn't do it the way they wanted. Indiana's away matches pull bigger crowds than the home squads. Her debut jersey moved more units than any pro baller on the men's side for a stretch. Subscriptions skyrocketed the moment her name was called. Yet, rather than cheering, the establishment turned sour. But statistics are undefeated. Caitlyn is a once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon, the spark the sport desperately needed. And Kelsey? She is the hurricane driving the weather. Consistent, lethal, and inevitable. Combined, they reveal the hypocrisy between the league's stated goals and its deepest fears. What we are witnessing isn't a temporary surge. It isn't a mirage or a flash in the pan. This is a paradigm shift, an uprising clad in crimson. Indiana used to be the laughingstock, a team trapped in endless reconstruction, bleeding talent to major cities and failing to sell tickets. Today, they are laying the foundation of an empire. Fueled by Caitlyn's impossible sight, Kelsey's icy offense, and a roster with surprising depth, they aren't satisfied with victory alone. They demand dominion. Each slight directed at the rookie only supercharges the veteran. Whenever critics dismiss their run as noise, the team gets hungrier. And when they lift that championship hardware in 2025, the doubters will have to look in the mirror. It goes deeper than demographics, debut seasons, or adversaries. This is the story of two athletes, one hardened by war, the other born for it, who rejected the divisive narratives forced upon them, who prioritized unity over fame, the squad over the chatter, and history over vanity. Now, they are redefining legendary status on their own terms. So I have to ask, who is truly driving the bus in this league? Is it Kelsey, the loyal soldier who stayed true to the soil? Or Caitlin, the prodigy revolutionizing the economics of the game? Or is it the fusion of the two, the duo that shattered the mold? Let me know your thoughts down below. Smash that thumbs up if you support Indiana, and make sure to follow for the most authentic, uncensored basketball analysis that the mainstream networks are afraid to air. The future has arrived, and it isn't asking for a pass.